Hi, I'm Alexia Sabau, and welcome back to another episode of Hey Alexia, What's Trending? So, just in case you lost count, it's been by my calculations, just over 450 days since the pandemic begun. So yeah, it's safe to say it's been a while. Not only has this pandemic been going on for a long time, but there's been a lot of uncertainty, and it feels like we're just going back and forth. Honestly, all this back and forth, I'm starting to feel like this is a really bad celebrity breakup. Hey Google, play Olivia Rodrigo.
Playing Olivia Rodrigo on Spotify.
On TikTok, pandemic burnout and COVID burnout have over 189,000 views. So yeah, the struggle is real.
I feel that most people are kind of sick of the pandemic at this point. Of course, people want to stay inside and stay safe, but like mentally and physically, I think people are a bit tired of getting cooped up.
Have you heard about pandemic burnout or COVID burnout?
It's like a term that I've heard people use sometimes, but I didn't really know what it meant. But I did search it up this morning, so now I know.
Have you found yourself experiencing pandemic burnout?
Recently, yes. In the past few months, I'd say last year when we were online, I definitely had some motivation to do some stuff. But recently, it's been like I'm trying to do my schoolwork, but I'm always procrastinating. Just now, I was trying to finish up an assignment that was due a long time ago. So I'm glad like I have the flexibility, but it's kind of taking a toll on my mental health, and I feel like a lot of people's. I've talked to many other like students as well, and they're kind of in the same boat as me.
How has that been on your personal life and with your friends and stuff like that?
I do miss my friends. It's been a long time since I've seen them. I've been keeping up with people online over like Instagram, Snapchat, stuff like that, but I do miss hanging out with friends.
What is the first thing you're gonna do when you can like go out?
Probably see my cousins and my friends, go to their houses first, and then vibe with them there, and then go to like downtown. We still haven't gone, by the way. Still gotta go.
Yeah, true. If you could ask an expert about pandemic burnout, what would you want to ask them?
Strategies on how to deal with pandemic burnout, because I feel that not everyone maybe deals with them the best way, or they don't know how to deal with them. So I feel like that's a good thing that people should know about.
A couple months ago, I talked to Lydia Muyingo, who is a PhD student specializing in child and youth psychology, about pandemic boredom. So I thought she might have a couple tips for me on pandemic burnout. For the people that don't know, what is pandemic burnout?
Pandemic burnout, which is also called pandemic fatigue, you might hear that word used. It's basically someone feeling exhausted or tired because of COVID-19's impacts on their lives. So that can be anything ranging from because of all the quarantining, the isolating, the stay-at-home orders. It could be from Zoom school. It could be about worries about your safety. So worrying about, am I gonna get sick? Is my family gonna get sick? So it's about any single type of the pandemic that has kind of brought on this exhaustion or tiredness or like feeling fed up. Another thing it could be about is like, it's kind of like a yo-yo, how we had really good news and then bad news about the pandemic. It's like, yay, we have vaccines, but oh no, there's a new variant. So it's like tiredness from that up and down.
How do you know if you have pandemic burnout?
Oof, well, the biggest thing is that it's gonna look different for every person, but there are some general things that might happen for people. a common sign is feeling physically tired, like your body is tired, like you didn't do any exercise or anything, but it feels like you just ran a marathon, like you're sore, you feel lazy, it's like a heavy weight, you don't want to leave your bed. It could also be someone feeling emotionally tired. So that could be feeling moody, irritated, cranky. It could be like crying easily as well. Another thing could be a lack of motivation and feeling like your work isn't that efficient, or you're not doing a good job. Like you're putting in all this work, but you feel like you're not actually making good use of your time.
What can you do to prevent this pandemic burnout?
Oh, well, the best thing would be not to be in a pandemic, right? The first thing to note is that if you're feeling pandemic burnout, you're among the majority of people. So while there's some things that we can do to stay well and maintain our wellness, it's really going to be common to feel this. It's more about how long you're staying in that, what you can do to get out of it easier. But one of the things that we can do to help pandemic burnout is making sure that we're having balance in our lives. So taking breaks, like if we're in Zoom school from like 9 a.m. all the way to the afternoon and we have no breaks in our day to go outside, like we're gonna feel really burnt out. And going back to the basics of like making sure we're taking care of our physical health, drinking water, eating fruits and veggies, which kind of sounds really boring, but is really important. Being outside, and I know that the pandemic has closed a lot of things, but just going for walks and connecting with nature and getting some real rest from that. Another big thing is not to isolate ourselves. Even if we can't gather in really big groups, whether that can be virtual or like small hangouts with your family, things like that. My last tip for like maintaining our wellness is going back to a hobby or something that you like to do, whether it's music, painting, stuff like that. But here's my big warning is don't try to do 1,000 things at once.
Yeah.
Don't try to like learn a new language and a new instrument and go painting. I think going down to 1 or 2 things that you like to do.
If you already have pandemic burnout and you're really like tired or like unmotivated and things like that, what can you do to overcome it?
Okay, well, the first thing is don't keep it to yourself because you're likely not alone. So I really recommend talking to a parent or a friend for support. So talking to them like, hey, I'm feeling really unmotivated right now. Like, has this ever happened to you? What's helped you about it? Just talking about it can make us feel like we're not alone. One thing for pandemic burnout is taking breaks from the news. So we don't need to read every single article or listen to every single news briefing on COVID.
Yeah.
That can also help our stress, right? I mean, like help us feel stressed. Definitely some relaxation techniques. So that can be like YouTube videos, like short meditations, some muscle relaxations, taking a break from work. And again, focusing on one activity at a time. What's one thing you can do for yourself? Can you go for a walk? Can you do like a board game with your family? Taking things slow for sure.
We've been in the pandemic for, over a year. What are the effects that it's having on our brain? Are there long-term effects?
Okay, so there's the good news and the bad news. The bad news is that, yeah, it does really affect our brain, but the good news is that these effects are reversible. So if we treat our burnout, we can kind of reverse some of these effects. So hope is not lost, but some of the effects are our amygdala. And so that's the part of our brain that controls our emotional reactions. So that's why you might be feeling more moody. It can also make us feel more stressed. Another part of the brain that's affected is the parts that control our memory and our attention spans, which is why it can be really difficult to focus on other things and to concentrate. And then lastly, it can affect the parts of our brains that connect the two sides of our brains. So that can make us feel less creative. It might make, again, our memory skills and our problem skills be a little weaker. So those are the negative sides. But the positive thing is that if we take some time to rest and relax, we can repair our brain. Our brain is really good at repairing itself. It is really, really normal to be feeling pandemic burnout. There's nothing wrong about that. And to definitely reach out to a trusted adult, a trusted friend, and if it gets to a point where it's really affecting you, maybe trying out some of those like relaxation techniques will be helpful.